All right, Isaac, thank you for bringing your notebook, your reading notebook. So we have a new book today. And this book is called One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia.
It's got awards on it.
It does have a lot of awards. That is exactly what I was going to bring up. So it's got 4 awards, actually. And one of them is an award for historical fiction. So what do you know about historical fiction?
I think it's like it could have happened, but it could happen. It could have happened, but it didn't happen, and it was like in history.
Right.
But it could have happened, but it didn't happen. It's realistic, but it's fake.
Yes, exactly. So it is the actual plot of the story may not be true, but the setting takes place in our past history.
Yeah, the time, the place.
Mm-hmm. And what do you notice besides the awards on the cover of the book?
It's 3 African American girls. They're like sisters, kind of.
They kind of look alike a little bit, right? It's like their profile face.
They might be sisters.
They might be sisters.
Friends.
You don't know? Yes, exactly. And as we read the story, I want you to take note of what part of our history you think it takes place, because when you look at this cover and you look at their clothes, does their clothes give you a clue about what part of history they might have lived in?
Not really. Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they're wearing dresses. They're not wearing something that's, from hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so before we begin the book, I'd like to go over some words. And as you'll notice, when you open the book up, this book doesn't have your typical chapter 1, chapter 2. It has titles. And the first one says Cassius Clay Clouds. So Cassius Clay Clouds. Have you heard of somebody named Muhammad Ali?
Yeah.
All right, so
he's a boxer, right?
Exactly, he's a boxer. And Cassius Clay was the name that he was born with, but then he changed it to Muhammad Ali for religious reasons.
Oh,
so,
I never knew that.
Yeah, in case you come across that. So, and also, we are going to come across some words, you are when you read it. The first word I'd like to talk about is the word Negro. And I'm trying to find it in here, but I'll look for it as I'm talking to you. So have you heard about the word Negro? Have you heard the word Negro before? You have not? And when you're reading history? Huh. Maybe if you see it spelled.
Wait.
Here, let me show it to you spelled.
I think I have, actually.
So we don't really say it, and there's a reason for that. Negro was a word that was used to, when people refer to African Americans, but we don't use that word today. The word, just as a little historical background, the word comes from, hundreds of years ago when the Portuguese were trying to go through India, and the Spanish that had encountered people from South Africa called them Negroes because negro in Spanish means black. And so we don't use that word because the word has gone through so many phases in history, but it's associated with slavery, discrimination, racism, so it's offensive to use. But you will come across it in the book, and I want you to think about that. Why is it being used in the book? How is it being used? And okay, so the other, I couldn't find it as I was talking to you because I wanted to show you the way that it was spelled. Well, I mean, I'll spell it for you right now. But the other word that this is how it's spelled. There you go. When you see it, sometimes when you look at a word, it makes more sense. Riot. Do you know what the word riot means?
I've heard it in a book before when they called somebody a riot.
When they called somebody a riot, yeah. So there's different ways that you can use that word. Yeah. So when that person was being described as being a riot, what was that person like?
I mean, they're like, I think it was like being funny or something, or like a sarcastic funny. Yeah.
So the word that the way that they're using it in here, the definition of riot in this book is refers to when there's like a large group of people and they are misbehaving loudly, sometimes violent. Sometimes it can be to protest against or for something. So that's a word that you'll come across. And then there is this word over here. Can you read that word for me out loud? Here, let me break it.
Exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
Exaggerated.
Not a g, but a j.
Exaggerated.
Exaggerated.
That means like, trying to think, like,
Use it in a sentence.
he exaggerated the story or something. Like, you make it bigger than it should be. Like, you make it more than it has to be.
Yeah.
You exaggerate it.
Exactly. You know the definition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exaggerated. It is kind of tricky to read. But exactly. So I could say, I am so hungry, I'm going to starve to death. But
yeah, you're not actually going to starve
I'm not
to
going to
death.
starve to death.
Exaggerating.
I'm exaggerating. Yeah. Okay. One last word. I know there's a few, but I just want you to understand it when you're reading. So this word, spectacle.
Aren't those like those glass things that go in like people's eyes?
Yeah.
I heard it once on a TV show. It said he's making a spectacle of himself.
Right. So you've heard it in two different ways.
Didn't know what it meant though.
So, well, how is the person behaving in the show?
He's being really like loud and careless and like not loud. He's just being really careless and like had no fear. Really.
Yeah. The fear part. So when you're a spectacle, you're making yourself. You're putting yourself out there. You know, you're drawing attention. Maybe that's why the person in the show was making a spectacle out of himself. And spectacles are also glasses. Spectacles. We don't usually use that word today. We normally just say glasses. All right. So these are the words that you're going to come across. And while you're reading the first part, I want you to keep your book with you, your notebook, and anything that you come across, any word that I may have missed that you may not know the meaning of, or that you want to ask me about, write it down. If you have a question about the story or anything, just jot it down so you don't forget, because sometimes we forget. And then when we discuss the book, just bring that up and let me know. And as you're reading, I want you to think about, since we know this is historical fiction, I want you to think about what time period you think this might be, okay? If you find any clues in the book. Right?